It's working. Today on Ask a Wizard, we are going to be telling you how marketing works. And hopefully it's helpful for you, any of you guys who are interested. But let me just verify that the sound is working here real quick. Boom, it is. Alright. We are good to go. I may not have found a method for identifying that quickly and efficiently, but I have found a ways to optimize the system, so you guys don't have to sit here and wait so long anymore. Isn't that great? So how marketing works. So marketing is actually one of the simplest things out there. It's extremely important, and probably one of the most important fields of business, in a way. Marketing and advertising, or I should say marketing and sales, are more or less what makes a business, other than obviously having a fantastic product. And surprisingly, it's a very simple thing to do. People try to make marketing extremely complicated, and the reason that they do that is because if they make it complicated, you will pay them more money to do it. It's more or less what it comes down to, but it isn't actually very complicated at all. Anyone who's explaining to you marketing in a very complicated way and can't dumb it down for you probably doesn't know how to do marketing. That's a good tip, is if you talk to a marketer and you hear, like, I don't know, 7 or 8 terms you don't understand, and then you ask for clarification and get more terms back, then they probably don't know what they're talking about. Don't work with them. But what marketing is, how does marketing work? Marketing works, and you're gonna think, Tyler, that's stupid, it's more complicated than that. No, it really isn't. How marketing works is this. Marketing is have a product to sell, or service, find what kind of people buy that product, and then find out where they hang out, and then you just put a message there, and that's it. That's literally it. That's how marketing works. That's all it is. Now, yeah, you talk about big brands and like super huge companies. They're always trying to fight for attention and get a little bit more of the market share, but most businesses don't need to do that. That's not necessary. And not only is it not necessary, I would argue that it's impractical. I think that if your marketing is not ROI driven, you're basically, throwing your money away. I don't care how big of a business you are. I don't think devoting money to quote unquote branding is smart. Unless you're working with a multi-billion-dollar company who's got $500 million to invest in marketing every year. Branding is not something that you should be concerning yourself with at all. And I think that even at that scale, there's no reason for a company to market without an ROI objective. Oh shoot, I should not have done that. Yeah, so that's really it. So what does that look like in practice? So say you wanted to sell hot dogs. Well, who buys hot dogs? People who are hungry and need food that's on the go, that's convenient. All right, where do people that are on the go and need convenient food hang out? Sports stadiums. Okay, so go to a sports stadium. That's one of the places that they go and they hang out. Let's go to the sports stadium and set up a hot dog stand. There you go. You have just accomplished marketing. Market research, if you will. That's it. So that's all you really have to do marketing. And if you try and make it more complicated than that, you're basically just wasting your efforts on things that don't produce a lot of results. You know, really focusing in on what is the core principles. And that's kind of what, when you hear people say the term marketing channels or marketing strategies, that's basically what they're discussing, is various different places where people hang out that want to buy your product. Now, the strategy element to it is every place that people hang out, they need different things. So, for example, taking our hot dog stand example, the optimal strategy probably for the hot dog stand there would be to have an actual hot dog stand. But maybe another place that people who hang out and want convenient food and are on the go is what would be a good example? A business, outside of a business district, at lunchtime. Now, maybe a hot dog stand isn't the best one because these people have a little bit more money and because they're business oriented, and they probably want something that is more handy. So perhaps for that particular channel, the approach would not be to just hand the people the hot dog wrapped up in foil like you would at a stadium. Maybe the correct approach there, the strategy, is to give them a box that will allow them to keep the hot dog warm by the time they get back to their office. That could be the strategy that you need to employ, the marketing strategy for your hot dog stand. Now and the reason I use that analogy is that kind of gives you an example of what I'm trying to simplify and reduce down what people are talking about when they say these things, like marketing channel, marketing strategy, how marketing works. They're all very simple things. So at its core, how does marketing work? We discussed, as I said earlier, basically just in review here, how marketing works is you take your product, find people who want to find out who buys your type of product, find out where they hang out, put a message there. That's all. What is a marketing strategy? A marketing strategy is how you actually, I'm sorry, I shouldn't go to strategy, so we're skipping a step. Marketing channel. A marketing channel is one of the places where people hang out, and then you want to combine multiple channels. So let's try a different business, something like, say, plumbing. If you were a plumber, multiple marketing channels could be Google organic ranking. It could be AdWords, which would be the paid ads through Google. It could also be on Facebook. People who need plumbing on Facebook might be hanging out on, I don't know, maybe. No, Facebook probably wouldn't be a good channel, actually. I mean, it would if you targeted it correctly, but on the surface level, for this explanation, it'd be a little complicated, so let's keep it simple. But people who need plumbing would hang out on service websites like Angie's List, specifically the plumbing section. They would hang out in service generation places like Thumbtack. They might hang out in YouTube sections on how to fix plumbing problems at home. These are places where people who need plumbing problems hang out. So those are various marketing channels. So for how you do marketing, you have so for the plumber, you have your product, which is plumbing. You figured out where they hang out. Those are your marketing channels, and then you have marketing strategy. Let me just fix this real quick. All right. And I think that should fix it. Cool. Sorry, audio issue there. So marketing strategy is your next step. So the marketing strategy is how do you approach each of those channels? How do you differentiate your message that you're going to put there to make the people happy, more or less. So, for example, the ad that you would place on Google is very different from the ad you would place in, say, the like Thumbtack or Angie's List. You have more space, you have more content, there's a different audience there. The people that are on YouTube need different messaging than the people who are searching for emergency plumber on Google in Anaheim. You know, it's a very different market, so you tailor the message to fit that, and that's where the marketing strategy comes in. Now, that's about it. That's how marketing works. At its core, from top to bottom, if you can understand those core fundamental principles, you basically have the foundations of marketing. And that'll also put you ahead of most MBAs in marketing, because that's not taught in school. It's not taught in college, and very little practical information is ever taught in college, if any. So you're welcome. You can skip that MBA now. That's it. That's how you would approach it. Now, the art. So, like I was saying earlier, it's not complicated. It is not a complicated process. It is, however, not easy. Marketing isn't easy because each of those channels has its own strategy, and each of those strategies is very well developed by other people, and you've got to compete with them. So how would you go about approaching marketing for your own business and make marketing work for you? To do this, you would take, as I was just saying now, the 3 core concepts of marketing and mimic people who are already successful in that field, because they've already invested time and money to create these programs, and it essentially gives you it's kind of like tracing within the lines, if you will. It's saying, hey, these are methods that are already successful. So for example, if you looked up, let's say the channel you're trying to approach is Google organic search. You want to show up in Google without having to pay for ads, and you want to show up for your health, your let's see, your ketogenic diet plan. Okay, you're gonna have a lot of trouble ranking for that, but bear with me. Let's say when you type in, so you want to reach people, the product you're selling is a ketogenic diet plan. The people you want to reach are people who are interested in weight loss and doing it through the ketogenic diet. So, one of the channels, one of the places that people that want that book or that information hang out is Google searches. In particular, dialing that in, one of the places they would hang out would be on Google organic search for terms like ketogenic diet plan. So the channel you're trying to occupy and attack is the organic search rankings of the ketogenic diet plan on Google organic search. So then you have to ask yourself, so what's the strategy? The strategy to getting there is, well, you need to identify what have other people done that's already working. It's better to look at, for example, for Google, it's better to look at it as if it's a marketplace. And the people at the top of Google are people that are killing it. And you need to compete with them and beat them significantly if you want to have that ranking. So that's where the marketing strategy comes in. So you might type in ketogenic diet plan, and obviously I'm not typing it in right now, but what comes up might be different, but I'm using this as an analogy. More or less. So like, let's say when you type in ketogenic diet plan, you notice that the top 3 results are all really long, detailed guides that are over 3,000 words, for example. So what you can infer from that is that to rank on Google for ketogenic diet plan, you too would need to make a very long, in-depth guide over 3,000 words, and it has to be superior, and ideally it has to be 10 times better than whatever else is at the top of Google there. And that's no small task, but that's how you would compete. And so you could look at the top results, say I want to be there, and then start looking at how other people got there in the first place and do it bigger and do it better. And that's about it. And that's in all regards. So look how they designed it. Can you design it better? How much did they write? Can you write more? How did they write it? Can you write it better? How did they promote it? You could look at the backlinks, and for those of you who aren't like into the SEO digital marketing scene, a backlink is just when someone else links to your content. Google tracks that as a vote for your website. It's basically saying that website thinks this website's really cool, and so they boost you up in your rankings. So you can go and use tools to see where the other people got links from, and you can make a big old list of all of those and then go and try and get those yourself, or at least get an idea of how they got. So there's all these different aspects of what you need to find out what they did and then outdo them on. And if you do that and you repeat that process for multiple channels, you will be successful. I would say expect 1 in 5 to be really successful whenever you're implementing a marketing channel. And that's pretty dismal if you think about it. And that's if you're doing everything right. 1 in 5 is actually a pretty high success rate, because most people don't do things correctly. But that's assuming that you're operating at a pretty high level of marketing there. I'd say if you're starting out, maybe 1 in 10 would be a good goal, a good benchmark to shoot for. And that's just because it's going to be hard to be better than people in channels. And there is an element of timing, luck, skill, and uniqueness to each of those channels. So wouldn't beat yourself up. And that's kind of where the systematic data analytics part of marketing comes in. Not many people talk about this part, because it's only done by people who are actually marketers and actually do it for a living and make money and are doing it professionally, which is a surprisingly small amount of people. Most people who say they do marketing aren't actually marketers. They're just trying to make a little bit of money, claiming to be a marketing expert when they aren't. But true marketers are always tracking their data, and they're always seeing what works, what doesn't, and then optimizing accordingly. And that's really where all the value of marketing comes in, is you come up with these strategies, come up with the techniques, you attempt quite a few of them, these different channels. You find multiple channels, you implement various strategies you implement a strategy for each of those channels, measure the results, and then based on those results, you decide whether or not you should pursue a new strategy. And then if multiple strategies fail, should you pursue a new channel? And if multiple channels fail, you might need to pursue a new market. That might not be a good target market. And the only way to do that is with data analytics. So you know what's driving your revenue, what's working, what's successful. And to do that, it's actually surprisingly easy to do nowadays, because you have tools like Google Analytics, which is completely free. It takes about 5 minutes to set up on your website if you have a small website. And it will tell you where your traffic's coming from. It's not perfect. You know, it can break. It does have certain elements of tracking that need to be involved. You have to have a certain level of sophistication when it comes to programming and website development and things of that nature to truly get it to work. And UTM codes are very important, but the bread and butter of it can be done by pretty much anyone, and it doesn't require a large amount of time or money, and it will tell you where your traffic's coming from and how it's performing with just a few little snippets of code. So I highly recommend doing that, and that's how you move forward. And that's what the day in, day out of how marketing works is once you have identified your channels, once you've identified your market, and once you've identified your market and where they hang out, i.e. their channels, and then created a strategy for each of those channels to attack those channels and implemented it, you then track the data and use that data as a tool to constantly be improving what you're doing through A/B testing. So because you're copying in a way, not directly copying, but tracing, if you will, the top performers, you will have some success because they are having success and you've mimicked them. But you probably won't have as much success as them because you haven't had as much time doing it as they have. And that's where the A/B test is. So you're starting with something that's kind of successful, and then you're using A/B testing to improve that every single step until it's at a point where you're happy with it. I personally recommend identifying the 20% that produces 80% of the results, and then really honing in that, because the amount of time and money and resources that can be saved by doing an 80-20 analysis of your marketing, I've never seen it not be more profitable than going for that extra 20% to truly be the best of the best and capture every single customer out of that channel. It's so much better to just go get the 20% that produces 80% in 5 channels and use the same amount of effort that it would take to get 100% of one channel. So I would highly recommend that. Figure out what is the 20% of behaviors and activities that you do that are producing 80% of your customers. And it's not always an 80-20 breakdown, but it's usually pretty darn close. It's called the Pareto principle. And yeah, there are people that disagree. They're like, just be the best of the channel, be the best. And I think that you can be the best by just be the best for the 20%. It's like you can be the best at the 20% that produces 80% of the result and not worry about those last 20. Sure, maybe they're going to get that extra 20% of business that you otherwise would be able to get with it, but you're also able to go and then get all the business from other channels because your time isn't occupied. So I think that that's really crucial for creating a highly efficient marketing team. And that's where different marketers come into play. You may have heard of social media marketers, digital marketer, SEO experts, PPC management, print media, ad buyers. The reason there's all these different channels is basically what you're hiring is people who are experts at understanding the intricacies of a that was a tough word to get out. The intricacies of various marketing channels, so it allows them to basically get to that 20% that produces the 80% much faster, and that's the value there. as so you can hire someone who's an expert in, say, the Facebook channel, and they're going to know how to identify the 20% that produces 80% of sales for you very quickly, and usually at a more cost-effective way than if you just tested it. So you're able to start farther ahead than you normally would in your A/B test with results. So that just puts you further ahead with the expertise. But if you don't have the resources, time, money, or you just want to do it yourself, you can. Just understand you will start to do more A/B testing and lose more money on the obtain a level that is sufficient. So keep that in mind. And what I would highly recommend doing is if you are going to go that route, develop the channel until it is so profitable that you can hire someone to manage that channel, and then do it. Hire an expert for that channel. It's a great approach because you're basically going. The ideal approach is to just hire someone outright. Honestly, that's going to be the most effective, but it's also the most cost prohibitive. So a happy middle ground is to develop the channel yourself, spread the cost over time through A/B testing, develop the channel yourself until you understand the channel, kind of, and that has its own advantage as well, because that gives you a advantage of knowing the basics, the ins and outs of how it works yourself. So if you do hire someone, you'll know if they know what they're talking about, because you'll know the fundamentals. So that is a value than just outright buying someone to manage the channel. But once they are able to manage it, they can develop that channel much better for you, and then they can also suggest strategies and ways of implementing said channel. So that's how I would if you own a business or you're planning on owning a business and you're looking for a way to save money without purchasing experts right away, that would be my approach. My approach would be go in there, develop the channels, figure out what channels you can really wrap your head around and get a hold of. Develop those, and obviously you're mimicking what other people have done to succeed in those channels. Get it to the point where it's profitable enough to hire someone to manage it as an expert, and then hire that person as an expert to manage the channel. And that's how you would develop a marketing team. So you might have a social media expert, a PPC expert, a content marketing expert, and no, don't, you know what, never, just don't hire inbound marketers. I'm gonna just go out and say that. If someone says they're an inbound marketer, don't hire them. they people who use that term unironically, yeah. I mean, I guess if the company is specifically asking for an inbound marketer and you have to, okay, but inbound marketing is basically just synonymous with someone who doesn't really know what they're doing. Because inbound marketing isn't a channel. Inbound marketing is a strategy for implementing in certain channels. So like inbound marketing is a strategy you could employ in, say, social media. It works very well. Content marketing, it works really well. And PPC, it can even work kind of okay, but and, you know, and I mean, technically no, PPC, whatever, but yeah. So there's a little side rant for you. Don't hire people who say they're inbound marketers, because there's a very large chance that they don't know how to do marketing very well. If they are people who are recommending inbound marketing as a strategy, or they're saying I'm an expert at implementing inbound marketing strategies for Facebook or social media, for example, and keep in mind, it is helpful to, depending on how big your company is and what you're doing and how detailed and intricate and developed you'd like your marketing campaigns to be. And keep in mind, you don't have to be the best at every channel. You just have to get the 20%. But it would be ideal to have an expert in each marketing channel, or at least marketing, or a different expert in each social media platform, or at least at a bare minimum having an expert in social media platforms that are vastly different. For example, LinkedIn social media marketing is completely different than the approach you'd want to take for Facebook. Facebook, you want to show them something really cool, fun, quick, and a downloadable, let's get that ebook and you can move back to your funny cat videos. LinkedIn is like, so what are the 4 stocks I should be investing in 2018? Like, it's a hugely different audience. And a Facebook marketer can make that work, and they can understand that and develop that, but there are certain social platforms where it just gets to the point where it's just like you clearly need someone else who's an expert in that field to develop it, or you could just hire someone who's your general social media expert and ask them to learn and develop and practice it, but you're going to take the loss while they're practicing and implementing new techniques. That works too. And yeah, so that's how you begin to develop a team. You begin to develop a team by hiring experts in various channels after you've cultivated the channel yourself, so you know the ins and outs and the basics, and then they develop it more, and then you use those resources to develop other channels that you can then hire an expert, and so on and so forth, and you do that and continue to A/B test until you are dead. That's marketing. Oh, and of course, the final variable that I will discuss is, so I've been explaining to you the principles. These are the core tenets of how marketing works at a principled level. So these core principles I'm telling you right now never change. So in 2200, what I'm telling you right now will still be the method. In 1800s, this was the method. There's nothing that is unique or changing or different, or ever going to change. But what is going to change, and always is changing, and this is what makes marketing so fast-paced and competitive, is the channels themselves. And the strategies that work in those channels are constantly changing on a massive scale. So like, for example, Facebook. Just like 3 days ago, out of the blue, no warning, just went boom. By the way, guys, the most profitable ad platform people have been using for the last 3 years is gone. We just nuked it. It doesn't work anymore. Have a nice day, and that was it. So people who have developed those strategies, and that's why another reason why you don't want to hire inbound marketers. You don't want to hire anyone who's an expert in one particular strategy. You want to hire people who are experts in channels. Strategies are always changing, and even channels are changing and dying. For example, there's hundreds of social platforms that no longer exist today. That worked for a while. You could market on them and do very well with them. And there was people who were experts in those channels. You got to evolve and adapt in marketing. You constantly have to be developing and staying at the forefront of the strategies in your channel, and you even have to be broadening your awareness and your skill set in various channels so that you don't have all your eggs in one basket. You got to think of it like a stock portfolio in a way. You need to diversify your experiences in various channels and experiment with new channels. You need to, you have your blue chip stocks. Google's probably going to be around for a long time. Or at least PPC advertising is. Social media platforms like Facebook are probably going to be around for a while. So those like blue chip stocks, get those under your belt, kind of know them in and out, make them your core. But you also want to, take the Bitcoin options, they're high risk, high reward options, like brand new social platforms that just came out. Like Flipagram is kind of doing really well right now. Cheese is doing pretty good too, but they might be dead in a year. and probably will be statistically speaking, but you could still invest 1 to 2% of your time and effort and energy into seeing what you can do. What can you make work there? Can you put in some time? Can I put in 2% and get 30%? And if I do 2%, can I do 4% and get that to 45? And can I get up to that 20% and get 80% of the results in a time that's feasible? And is it producing an ROI that is valuable for my company? And that's just testing out new platforms. And most of them will fail. Don't get me wrong. The majority of new channels like that will die off, but it's important to at least be aware of them and give it a shot. But yeah, get your core blue chip stocks in and start diversifying. Literally write them down. I would write down the different channels you want to become an expert in, and then start at the top with the most widely available and most likely to stay around ones. Marketing channels, for example. And develop those skill sets, and each time you develop a channel and you get that under your belt and you're able to produce ROI positive results, move to the next one. And that's going to build up your repertoire, and more importantly, it's going to allow you to it has a multiplying effect of value. The different channels, mastery over one channel and then mastery over a second channel isn't two channel masteries. It's actually it has a compounding effect. So if 1 is equal to 1, 2 might be equal to 2.5, and 3 might be equal to 5, and then 4 might be equal to 10. Like, I'm making up some arbitrary, some intuitive numbers right now, but you get the idea. Is that more channels have a compounding effect on themselves, on the amount of effectiveness that you can do, because then not only will you have mastery over all of those channels individually, but you can employ them together. So for example, I can go to YouTube, and I know YouTube lets me get really, really cheap traffic, but it's not ideal for getting sales conversions. However, Google PPC is very expensive. However, I can get sales all day with that. So what I could employ if I was a sneaky marketer is a clever marketer is I can utilize YouTube ads to get people to my website to read a really cool article, then tag them with a pixel, and then retarget them with PPC ads. So retargeting, that's a channel. Actually, no, that's a strategy. Sorry. Retargeting strategy, but I'm getting them through the YouTube channel and the Google PPC channel. So now I get them for cheap from YouTube, then I retarget them on Google AdWords and get them only when they know who I am, they've seen my face, they know my brand, they know my product, and I'm only going to get them when they make a search that seems like they're ready to buy what I'm selling. So what would that look like in practice? Let's say I wanted to sell a gardening kit, right? So I might target them on YouTube for gardening and outdoor activities. Now, when I do that, I will make like a really a quick ad that says, "Hey everybody, I see that you're watching this really cool gardening video. I just wrote this really awesome guide on how to start your own herb garden in your backyard for less than $50. It's totally free. You can check it out right here. Click on the link below." Boom. They click it. They want to know about gardening, herb gardens. There's this awesome blog post that tells them step by step exactly how to build it. Oh my gosh, this guy is awesome. He gave me the best guide, and I went out and I built an herb garden. This is so cool. I know exactly what to do now. Then that Mr. person who went and saw my YouTube video and checked out my blog post, now he's excited about herb gardens. That's when I plug into the Google AdWords. I'm retargeting him. And when he decides, all right, I'm ready to go get my herb garden set, so he goes onto Google and searches herb garden kit, starter kit. Guess whose ad's going to show up? It's going to be my ad. and I just got that guy as a customer because he knows who I am, he recognizes my brand, he already has a great experience with me, and I got him for way less money. You know, and that's it. And that's how they have that compounding effect. So those are the core tenets, I think, really for how marketing works. So just in summation, what is marketing? It is what product, where are people that want to buy the product I'm selling? Who are they, I should say. Who are the people that buy the product that I'm trying to sell? And those could be different people too. That's where you get different customer personas. A customer persona is basically like, for example, the herb garden. Elderly grandmothers are probably inclined to buy herb gardens. So are people who are into like whole foods and eating clean. Those are two different people. So they'd hang out in two different spots. So you would create different channels where those people hang out, and then different strategy. You would identify channels where those two different groups hang out and different strategies. That's just a quick recap there. And so that's who buys this product. Then second part is where do they hang out, and then how do I get a message there? And that's the recap there. And then from there, you're A/B testing until you become the you acquire 20% that produces 80% of results, and then you move into a different channel, and then develop other channels that can work together in your repertoire so that you can. Dang it, I'm dead. Lost my train of thought too. He killed my thought. You develop different channels in your own personal repertoire so that you can get a compounding effect as you develop different marketing channels and make them work together to allow you to get more customers for less money, and yeah, that's about it. That's how it works. So that's the name of the game. And I guess I would say a key tenet to all of this, if you haven't already, I'd recommend looking at or watching my video, Why No One Cares About Your Business. And just to clarify, because one of the most important things about all of this is you can have the greatest marketing campaign in the world, the most developed channels, but if your product is crap, sorry, you're out of luck. You're not going to succeed. And most people's the most of the time that in my personal experience, so completely subjective, you'd have to look at actual data, but my personal experience in the field has been the majority of the time people's businesses suck and don't work is not because of their marketing, it's not because of their advertising, it's because their product sucks. Nobody would want it, and it's outrageous what they're trying to sell. Like, hey, I want to sell you business coaching for $6,000 a month. I have never run a business before, and I'm 20. What? Good luck. Good luck with that, buddy. Like, Jesus. Yeah, that's not going to work. So, that's it. Dial in before you get lost in the ways of how marketing works and how you're going to make it work for your business, make sure your product doesn't suck. That really, really is. And the best way to find that out is go and get at least 10 customers to buy your product that aren't your family and friends. And do it at a cost that is less than what it cost you to make or do that product, or at least break even, I'd say, because you can worry about the margins later. Like, if you're just doing a test phase, you want to make sure there's actually a demand that wants your supply, basically. So typically margins aren't crucial in the beginning if you're just testing out a new product or service. I'd recommend just going with trying to break even with your advertising cost and cost of goods sold put together. And the reason I say that is you can almost always reduce or increase your margins in the future by just economy of scale, essentially. Oh, dang it. Why did I do that? Economy of scale. So, like, for example, if you're selling custom-made, not even custom-made, what would you say? I'm trying to think of a new product off the top of my head. Custom toothbrushes. Why not? Yeah, like, or not even custom, but hand-carved wooden toothbrush. That'd be kind of cool, right? And you're trying to sell them for, I don't know, $25. And it's just this nice, cool, like, wooden hand-carved toothbrush. You might be able to get someone to buy that for $25, spend $10 on advertising, and spend $10 to get, say, $10 to get one toothbrush if you buy 10. But if you find that you're able to produce a ROI positive result on that, or at least break even, you can then say, all right, I know what it costs to develop this channel. Do I have the resources to develop this channel as such? And if the answer is yes, then I can just go and buy 10,000 toothbrushes, and I can get 10,000 toothbrushes for a lot less than $10 a toothbrush. I could probably get them for like less than $1 a piece. And that's the economy of scale. And so that's why I would say don't worry too much about getting your margins dialed in. If you can, that's great. Good, more power to you, man. But don't treat it as a complete failure if you break even initially. And that would be it. I think that kind of sums it up. That's how marketing works. If you guys have any questions, post a comment. You can email me at touchingonmagic.com. Or touching@magic.com. What am I saying? touchingonmagic@gmail.com. Look at me. I'm such a good marketer. I don't even get my branding right. Jeez. touchingonmagic@gmail.com. You can send in your questions. You can comment directly below in the YouTube comment section, and I try my best to respond to every comment. Sometimes I ignore silly ones, but whatever, silly ones are fun too. And you could also, I just finally stopped procrastinating and got my blog redesign done. Yes. Been putting that off for about 6 months. That's logicbasedmarketing.com. Logicbasedmarketing.com. Logical marketing for an illogical world. Oh. You can check that out. And let me know what sucks about it. And let me know what you like about it. And if you find anything that's broken, let me know. I will fix it. It is new. It is soft launched, meaning I haven't done any formal promotion yet. So basically just friends, family, and you can I'm letting know about the website so that I can hopefully iron out any initial issues that may be with the website before we go fully live. We're testing data analytics, tracking, and so far it looks great. And I'm happy with it. I think we launched today and we've already gotten like a 20% conversion rate, believe it or not. Lead conversion rate, I should say, in the first few hours. So that was really, really astounding for me to see, because typically when you first launch you get about a 10 to 15% conversion with a squeeze page, and an average website, what is considered good, would be about a 1% conversion across the board. Great would be 2%. Like, you're a top performer if 2% of people who visit your website become a lead. But that's across all of your web pages for the whole website. So obviously small numbers, small sample size, not statistically relevant, but I'm excited about it. It made me happy. I love it when you can start out a campaign ahead of the schedule, and it's good stuff. And that blog is purely, obviously I do magic as well. If you haven't been recommended my videos a billion times yet, you may notice, I do magic. Logic-based marketing is 100% about business, entrepreneurship, and marketing. That's all it is. So if you're more of a fan of that, that's the place to go. This playlist is directly embedded in there. You never have to watch another one of my magic videos again if you don't want to. If you just want to hear the business. But hey, come on. The magic's great. At least it'll give you a video every day to share with your friends. So come on. But if you just want the marketing, the business, or if you just want to get to know, I got a bunch of free stuff on there too, like crazy. I detail out step by step in a PowerPoint presentation the exact steps to that I used personally to save one of my clients over $100,000 in 5 minutes. It's really cool. It's a PPC, a little trick. And yeah, so there's a lot of really cool stuff on there you can check out. Logicbasedmarketing.com, and yeah, check it out. So I think we're going to sign off this video here, and if you enjoyed this video, found it remotely useful or entertaining, please subscribe, share it with your friends, share it with that crazy friend who says he's a network marketing expert wizard who's going to make $1 million of passive income in his sleep, and then let him know how foolish he truly is. So with that, I think we're going to call it a night. Please subscribe and have a great day. Peace out.